Alright, so this video is a quick reflection. Somebody sent me an article about Ronda Rousey, and it's an interesting article. It said that she contemplated suicide after she lost that fight to Holly Holm. And, it's interesting. I read the article. I'll share the article below in the description section of this video. You can read it for yourself. Um, I'm surprised that she admitted that. Um, I give her a lot of credit and respect for being honest. I think, there's she has a lot of attention, a lot of fame, a lot of people love her and admire her, idolize her, and I think this could be a learning opportunity for a lot of people out there, and to see, what these fighters go through, um, and the psychology. Like, they're not as physically strong, mentally strong, or spiritually strong as people might think. They have weaknesses, and these people are human. And you know, I feel bad for her. I don't know her that well. I never really liked her, but for her to admit what she did, that she contemplated suicide and she's in tears and she was crying days after, and then also seeing, the public reaction to her losing the fight, and how it was all over the media, and basically she was being humiliated and embarrassed. And a lot of people out there, a lot of these fighters, a lot of people out there in general, I mean, even gangbangers, just people that have big egos, they would rather die than to be humiliated and embarrassed. There's a lot of people in jail right now because somebody humiliated them, somebody embarrassed them, and then they just go ahead and just killed the people that did that to them, because to them they'd rather be in jail, or they'd rather be dead than to be embarrassed and humiliated. And really, what that shows is a lack of spiritual growth, a lack of you know psychological health and development. These people take life so seriously that they can't even they can't laugh. Everything is so serious, and they can't laugh at themselves. They can't you know they can't bear the thought of other people laughing at them. Um, you know, when you claim yourself to be the best in anything, especially when it comes to fighting, you're automatically setting yourself up for a downfall. I mean, just think about like people like Muhammad Ali when he was young and strong and healthy, all the trash talking he was doing at that time. But then now look at him. It's sad. It's depressing to see him the way that he is compared to how he was when he was at the top of his time, at the top of his game. Um, and Ronda Rousey was almost like the Bruce Lee for the woman. She was like probably the most famous fighter to ever live. I'm not saying that she's going to be the most talented to ever live, but I would say that she's probably the most famous female fighter to ever live. You know, um, and Bruce Lee would be probably the one of the most famous martial artists to ever live. So it's almost like Bruce Lee being in a fight, and then it's televised, and you see him get like destroyed. And then there's so many people that idolize and worship Bruce Lee and admire him, and then to see their hero get destroyed, knocked out, and just embarrassed, it's crushing. It's a crushing thought. And if that happened to Bruce Lee, I'm pretty sure he'd probably want to be dead too. Because when you put yourself in a position where you're supposed to be representing like the elite, then people they just want to knock you down and just make you look like a fool. And they've been trying to do that for so long to Mayweather, but he's been dodging it, and now he's retired, and he doesn't want that to happen to himself either. And Bruce Lee, during the time of the height of his fame and talent, he just ends up dying, so he doesn't have to worry about it because he's already dead. And you see people like Mike Tyson, um, at the top of his game, and then losing to Buster Douglas. So he went through it. I mean, everybody, all the great fighters, they're all gonna end up losing or retiring or dying. I mean, everybody gets weak. Everybody's gets old. Everybody's gonna die. So inevitably, you're setting yourself up for failure when you're trying to live a lie. You're trying to prove to the public that you're invincible, but that's impossible. Nobody's invincible. Everybody has weaknesses. Everybody is gonna slip and fall eventually. And people that retire, they're essentially just surrendering. They're giving up. They're saying, I can't keep this up any longer. I got to get out now before I get humiliated and embarrassed. So it's just I just never agreed to any of this combat sports stuff. I just don't. I mean, like, I feel that the way it's supposed to be is, Ronda Rousey is talented, Holly Holmes is talented. They're supposed to fight. They're supposed not fight. They're supposed to spar in private and help each other progress without the public getting involved and instigating things and evaluating things. And basically the whole sparring is not supposed to be something where people are being humiliated and embarrassed and basically just their reputation being severely damaged. It's not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be, hey, we're going to spar in private so we get better. And it has nothing to do with other people and what they think or what they want to see. It's about us. It's about us getting better, improving. It's not about like destroying each other's reputation. It's about working together, towards growth. It's kind of like the way that's supposed to be is supposed to be to me like Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. When they met, they were sparring in private. That wasn't for the public to see. And then they would train in private. Same thing with Danny Asano. Bruce Lee and Danny Asano would get together, spar in private, train in private. And if they want to entertain people for money, then they just make some movies, choreograph some fights. Chuck Norris was not humiliated by Bruce Lee. Chuck Norris was not, embarrassed by Bruce Lee. Chuck Norris made a movie, a fight scene with Bruce Lee that was a great fight scene. And Bruce Lee might have won the fight scene in the movie, but ultimately, who really won? I mean, Chuck Norris is still living to this day, enjoying his life. Bruce Lee dies at the age of 32, so who really got the best of it? Chuck Norris is still in good shape. He's not like a Muhammad Ali. He still looks good for his age. He's still doing well. And that's how it's supposed to be. You know, that's the difference between martial arts and just fighting. You know, when you throw people in the cage to just kill each other, embarrass each other for the entertainment of other people, to make money, and it's not too different than just gang members fighting over pride and ego. And then on the streets, you know, um, Ronda Rousey on the streets will not commit suicide. On the streets, the Ronda Rousey is going to kill the person that embarrassed them. Kill that person, and the person ends up in jail himself for murder. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to the streets, and you might be great at fighting, but if you embarrass the wrong person, you know, you humiliate the wrong person by beating them up in front of like a bunch of women, or you know, beating them up in front of all his friends, and you know, if you don't kill the person, you better be prepared to be killed yourself, because that person is gonna seek revenge, you know, with the vengeance. You know, he's not going to play by the rules. You know, you embarrass somebody, you humiliate them in front of all these people, and they have, you know, they feel their ego has been so hurt. Literally, they'll come and kill you in your sleep. They'll kill you and your entire family, your kids and your wife and your parents and everybody. I mean, that's how it is on the streets. And it's even illustrated in the movies like Menace to Society, um, and movies like Goodfellas and Godfather. You see it. It's like you think that, hey, you know, I beat this person up today, but, you know, be ready, because the next day they're gonna come get you. I mean, it's serious stuff, you know, and like that's the reality of how it is on the streets, you know. And I also think is very unhealthy, and it's sad that you know, somebody like Dana White. I call him Dana White. Everybody says his name's Dana White, but I don't care. I call him Dana White. But anyway, you know, it's sad to me that he doesn't even care about the fighters at all. He's just like, hey, you know, get back in there and fight again so we can make some more money. Oh, you thinking about suicide? Man up. Like, what are you? A sissy? Get back in there. Fight. It's like they don't care. You know, he doesn't care Ronda Rousey dies. I mean, or whatever fighter dies or gets injured, or all he cares about is making that money, you know, off the fighters. And with that mental state, Ronda Rousey, you know, wanting to commit suicide and things of that nature, she should not be fighting anymore. She should let it go. I mean, she's got a lot of other opportunities to do a lot of different things. Being in movies and TV shows and all these things. She doesn't need to fight anymore. You know, she already got the fame, you know, right now. And if she fights again, there's really no benefit, because if she wins, they're going to say, hey, you know, there needs to be another rematch. You know, and if she loses, it's just going to destroy her confidence even more and just make her even worse than she's already feeling. You know, it just doesn't, there's really no benefit to her at all. There really isn't. You know, I mean, because even if she does beat her, they're going to ask for another rematch, and then she's going to have to fight again. And if she loses again, then she's pretty much, it's already done already. And but if she happens to win, well, then they're going to keep bringing more people to her to fight until she can't fight anymore. It's already a proven fact that she's not invincible, that she's not like, you know, unbeatable, that she's somehow not human. I mean, you already see all her weaknesses, and in my opinion, for her health, physically, mentally, and spiritually, she should just let it go. And her admitting about the suicide thoughts already is indication that she needs to let it go. And the only reason that she's probably fighting, if she does fight, is because she's probably being forced to fight because of Dana White. But her family, her mother, her father, her brother, her sisters, or whatever, her relatives, her boyfriend, her husband, or whoever should stop her from fighting. That's if they cared about her, But, for my children, I'll never let them fight. Never. I don't care how poor we are. We'll find another way to make money. I'm never gonna fight. And any of my students, I'll never support them to fight. Never. I'd rather not teach martial arts than to teach it, being forced to promote my students to fight. I'd rather do something else. I'd rather stay home and babysit my kids for the rest of my life than to open up a martial arts school, to train a bunch of students to enter into tournaments to fight. I don't agree to that. I really don't. Because the way I see it, it's like your father raising you to be strong, and then you turn around and beat up your father, humiliate your father, because now he's old, and you're young, and you're strong, and he's weak, and then you exploit his weakness just because you can. Or, your father's sleeping, and then you go ahead and kill him because when he's sleeping, he's weak, and that's the time to get him. It's like, I just disagree with the whole idea of fighting, for egoistic purposes. We need to evolve beyond fighting as humans. We need to find other ways of expressing our talents, our skills. We need to become artists. I don't like, I just completely disagree with the whole idea of fighting to prove anything. As for me, if somebody thinks that they're better than me, go ahead, think whatever you want to think. I don't care. I really don't. You know what I mean? To me, there's really nothing to prove to anyone. And I accept the reality. I accept my limitations. I accept that death will come. I accept that sometimes I get tired. I accept that I need to sleep. I accept that I get ill sometimes. I accept that I'm not the strongest person in the world. I accept that I'm not the fastest person in the world. I accept that I'm not the best in the world. I accept life. So what is there to prove? There's really nothing to prove for me. There's no reason to fight. You know, even if somebody wants to rob me for my car, you know, the car could be replaced. You know, the person could take the car. You know, but I mean, if I fight, it'll be for a good purpose. You know, I'll fight against racism. You know, if somebody's trying to take my life, then I'll defend myself. If somebody's trying to take the life of my loved ones, I'll defend them. You know, I'll choose my fights accordingly, but the fighting that I do is not to prove anything. It's just simply in the moment for survival purposes. And I feel that that's what martial artists do. You know, they don't fight, you know, to prove to people anything. You know, they fight because this is their way of surviving. You know, like a lion or an animal out there that's fighting for his life. You know, he's not fighting for fame and recognition or for approval. You know, he might be an animal that's just sleeping at night, and then all of a sudden he's being attacked. And then he's fighting for his life. You know? Lions need to eat meat, so they hunt and they kill, you know, to live. So that might be an argument that some of these fighters will say, well, you know, I'm fighting for money so I can feed my family. Well, I disagree with that, because we live in America and it's a highly developed country. We don't need to fight for money. There's so many other ways to make money. You know, you don't need to fight for money. But if you're in prison and there's a group of people that are about to rape you, then you might be fighting to prevent that rape. Or you're in prison and then somebody's trying to kill you, then you might be fighting to prevent yourself from being killed. But these fighters, boxers making millions of dollars, they're not fighting for survival. They're fighting for greed. That's totally different. You know, it's like you could find another way to survive. You know, it's almost like saying, oh, you know, it's okay for this person to rob a bank because he's hungry. No. It's like you don't need to rob a bank because you're hungry or because you need to feed your children. It's like, okay, maybe you could beg for some money. You know, maybe you could get a job that's legal. Like, you don't need to become a criminal. You know? Now, these other countries, I can't really speak for the other countries, because there could be some countries out there that are just like super poor and in great poverty. But still, they're not fighting in the sense of in a boxing ring or a cage. They're fighting on the streets. Like, they're hungry. Okay, then if you're hungry, then okay, then maybe they'll just steal some food at the grocery store. You don't need to kill people in their homes because you need food. You know, I mean, I just feel that we really need to evolve beyond this fighting. And I think it's sad that people. I really think it's really sad that, like, one of the pretty much the richest athlete in the entire world is somebody that makes all his money from boxing. But then you got people that really are needed in this world that are not super duper rich, or they might even be poor. Like, you know, like a doctor or an accountant or, you know, postal worker, you know, a garbage collector, you know, a lawyer, a teacher, a professor. I mean, there's all these professions that are needed, but there's really not much money involved. All the money's given to somebody that just beats people up for a living, and I think that's really sad that we live in that such a society. But at the same time, it's like we are the ones who decide to put our money and our attention towards these types of things. So I think a lot of it has to go towards controlling your own greed, because, you know, I could fight for money if I really wanted to, but if I give up my desire to have lots of money, then I no longer need to fight for money in that way. I can make money in another way, you know. Maybe I can make money being a security guard. I'm not going to make as much money as Mayweather, but, you know, at least I'm not sacrificing my inner values to make a living. You know, I can make money as a police officer, or make money as a bus driver, make money as a personal trainer. I don't need to beat people up for money. You know, I'll find another way to make money. I might not make as much money, but it's okay. When you learn to accept a lifestyle that's not all about the money, then you can make more intelligent decisions. And I feel that that's what martial artists do. Like, they don't beat people up for money. Like, one of my close friends in high school or college who I trained the martial arts with, you know, he's a firefighter. You know, and another close friend who I trained in the martial arts with, you know, he's a pilot. And for me, I used to be a police officer, but now, you know, I'm like a personal trainer. You know, martial arts teacher. You know, and there's a lot of people out there that have respectable positions and occupations. You know, that don't involve hurting each other, you know, other people, in order to gain profit and fame. So, you know, I feel there's a lot of fighters in this world. You know, who doesn't want to be rich like Mayweather? You know, you got probably millions of people out there that are trying to aspire to be like Mayweather. You might have thousands of people out there that are trying to aspire to be like Rousey. Or the next successful cage fighter. But none of these people are artists to me. They are people that are just basically greedy. Greedy for money, greedy for fame. And to me, like a person that's advanced in the martial arts has that greed under control. Like he's not a slave to it. He's a master over it. Like he knows when to put a limitation on what he will do and what he will not do for money. Whereas there's people out there that have no limitations. They'll do whatever it takes to get money and fame. You know, a woman may strip, a woman may prostitute herself, a woman may fight in a cage, a man may fight in a cage, a man might prostitute himself, a man might become a stripper, a man might kill somebody for money. Like a man could do some of the most horrible things that could be done to get money and fame. And that's not what a martial artist does to me. Martial artist has like inner values of which he will live by. And he's not going to compromise, you know, his integrity. You know, so I just feel that it's a big learning lesson. Pay attention. You know, this person lost a fight, and she admits that she's thinking about committing suicide because of losing this fight. Now think about it. How healthy is she psychologically? How developed is she spiritually? Obviously, she is in a strong lack in those areas of development. Like, what's the point of all this money and all this fame if you're just gonna commit suicide? And it's for these football players and these boxers and these fighters and these wrestlers. What's the point of all this money and fame if you have CTE? You know, if you have lost all your memory. You know, you got $500 million in your bank account, but then you don't even know who you are. You don't know your name. You don't know where you live. You don't even know that you have a bank account. You don't know that you're rich. Or your brain is so messed up that you commit suicide. And there's a lot of football players that have committed suicide because of CTE. And there's a lot of boxers and, you know, wrestlers, and there's a lot of people in these types of industries that are killing themselves or killing other people, or, you know, addicted to drugs, or they're in jail because of concussions. It's because of CTE. These people are not mentally healthy. They're not spiritually developed. And we need to seek towards something beyond what these people are trying to represent. You know, so I just hope people open their eyes and they could see that.